So, welcome again to another episode, another great, exciting week. I think this week was somehow of a crazy week. We just saw what happened within the last few days. Episode 197 is going to touch base on different aspects of the market and what happened in the market. Why did the Bitcoin jump? What's the latest and greatest in the region and what's happening. Meanwhile, let's say hi to Tay and then get back to our agenda. Tay, how are you? And welcome to this week, Crypto Talks. Noting that last week we didn't do it due to the current situation in the Middle East and what's happening. We just wish some peace is back in this area because we are in much of a need. Tay, how was your week and how are you?
Good afternoon, Rudy. Good afternoon, all viewers from around the world watching Crypto Talks. We are in week 43, and this is episode 190. What, Rudy? 197.
Yeah.
197. Three more to 200, indeed. Week 43 was a surprise for many people, including myself. I think last week, as you mentioned, we missed it due to the unrest in the Middle East, but as well last week there were some important indicators for this rally to happen. Although it was short-termed, yet we're gonna talk more about the upcoming events after this psychological barrier of Bitcoin going up has been reached and has been broken. Back to you, Rudy, and we're excited to share with you the news for this week, week 43 in 2023.
Indeed. I just shared so that more people can join us from Instagram. It's an amazing time, critical times, I would say, also at the same time. Let's go for the news. So, as we go for the news, we'd like to always remind you of the fraud that being faced. And let me try to share a small video. I don't know if I can do that or not. Let me try to do that meanwhile while we're speaking. So always watch your identity, always watch viewer's identity, always watch whoever you are speaking to. Okay, I'm under a serious event of impersonation. I'll show you now what's happening and listen carefully.
I was wondering if you are still interested in talking about crypto. Sent a couple messages without a single reply from you.
And she knows me. She's very well knows my account, knows the way I talk, and then she knows that I don't deal with trading or I don't advise about trading or anything in that space. So they formulated a similar name to mine. Mine is verified, by the way, with a blue tick, and yet I have 8 current accounts that are impersonating me. So they reached on another level where they created a new account. It's called Rudy Shiny Private. And on top of this, they added my voice. So technically they cloned my voice. And that's another layer of how things are really evolving. So be careful of how you work with people. Always validate. And I'm sure it's the same thing with Tay and many others that we know. So always validate. So with that, I'd like to mention some of the emerging events that are coming. We have the CI Loyalty, the Middle East Enterprise, the Banking Innovation, the Emerging Tech Summit, all are happening within the next few weeks. And I'm looking forward. Today we were at the Blockchain Live event, and it's one of those events that are a very high caliber in the region in Dubai. And World Blockchain Summit will be also one of those high level events that I'll be participating, and I'll be a keynote in that. So make sure to join us. Also, some other events happening: Data Center Cloud, IDC Alliance, DDC Investors, Real-Time Investment, and Conversational AI and Customer Experience Summit also happening. So when I mentioned World Blockchain Summit, do join me and register. You have a special discount code if you'd like to be part of this. And also speaking at the Cardano Summit that is happening. And with that, we have an exclusive interview with Cardano Foundation CEO and President Frederick Gerard. Frederick has his time to discuss Cardano Foundation latest innovation and what to expect in the Cardano Summit next month, or actually within the next 10 days. So do join the event. It's summit.cardano.org, cardanofoundation.org, if I'm not mistaken. I'll put it in the link and then in the description below. So last but not least, our second MENA Top 25 Women is still going on, still taking nominations. If you're in fintech, blockchain, and AI, we want you ladies. I'm just trying to preach more ladies into this space. We want more leadership. And let me tell you, last week I met a lot of leading women in Saudi Arabia and Riyadh. And then I was really happy. So if you know, if you don't know, nominate, do join us with this. And then I'll go back to Tay. Tay, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Rudy. Thank you, Rudy. Good afternoon, everyone. Week 43 in the crypto space in year 2023. It has been a rough week on many people in the Middle East, specifically regarding the conflict between Israel and Palestine. We extend our condolences, and we always stress on the matter that the answer to our problems in the region is peace. And one of the most peaceful technologies that we can today use to promote our views actually is Bitcoin. That's why we are happy to lead this movement in the MENA region. And by bringing Crypto Talks to you every week, we are contributing to a more fairer world where money is owned by the people and not by the institutions. With this brief intro, I want to welcome you again to Crypto Talks week 43. It has been a very important milestone for long-term holders this week to actually take some profits out and see a long-awaited, I wouldn't say a bull run, but an up rally or a rally up in the crypto and specifically in the Bitcoin prices. From the last time that we met 2 weeks ago until today, we've seen a more than 10% increase in the Bitcoin price, reaching the levels of $35,000. This level we haven't seen as well in more than 18 months. And the crypto community, and specifically the Bitcoin community, was very happy with this event. This event was not out of the blue. There were some catalysts for that started last week, and unfortunately we were not together to discuss them. So Rudy, let's start our news with this week with talking about the elephant in the room, the Bitcoin ETF. Last week, Cointelegraph unintentionally, by mistake, whatever we want to label the action that happened or that Cointelegraph took by leaking or by spreading unverified information that a Bitcoin ETF is coming to effect from iShares. Now, such news spread like wildfire because everybody's expecting the Bitcoin ETF, yet we're not expecting it at least this year. And since Cointelegraph is a, I don't want to put the word trusted, but listened to in the space, a lot of influential accounts as well has taken that news and spread it more and more to their communities and to their followers. Uh, but the short span of this event didn't exceed 24 hours, and Cointelegraph retracted their message, and in fact, they deleted the whole tweet, and the damage was done. We saw Bitcoin jumping, touching the $30,000 levels, and tracing back to 28 and $27,000 levels. What happened after, or what happened in the last 48 hours, was a similar event, yet on a different scale, where this time BlackRock and Larry Fink were the major spotlight owners of this event. BlackRock announces a seeding for an ETF, and this ETF ticker, or Bitcoin ETF ticker, was listed on the DTCC website, where the major upcoming ETFs will be announced. And at the same time, there was no, again, validation, no verification of such news. It took almost 24 hours for this event to, cool down, because what happened later was a classic pump and dump scheme, some things that we have seen in Bitcoin since 2014. So we had BlackRock announcing the seeding of the upcoming Bitcoin ETF, and from that moment on, we saw Bitcoin rallying up. People who were betting against Bitcoin, they had their shorts open, they got liquidated. And once we reached the top of $35,000, BlackRock came to announce, hey, sorry, we're not gonna do this. This is these are rumors, and they removed the ticker from the DCC website. And everyone who longed at the top, thinking that a Bitcoin ETF is imminent and coming, got liquidated again, and we are going to see a more fall down of prices in the coming days, simply because the Glassnode data, the data that we can take from on-chain activity, does not support yet such price levels where we see $35,000 Bitcoin. But what could a Bitcoin ETF do to the price? Stay with us till the end of this session, and we're gonna see what's the amount of money that can enter into the Bitcoin ETF, and what is the reflection on the Bitcoin price. So in general, in a quick nutshell, this was the action points of the last 24 hours. It's very important to verify the news and get news from verified sources. Verified sources themselves, like Reuters, like Cointelegraph, like those big news outlets, they fall by themselves sometimes to false information or unverified information. So it's always important to double check the sources of the news, and double check specifically when it comes to the topic of Bitcoin ETFs. In our news for this week as well, we picked up the activity in Nigeria, where we are seeing an increased activity in stablecoin adoption. Year to year, we had $60 billion worth of USDT being traded in Nigeria. But this is not going only into the speculative arm of crypto. This is going into payments. Nigeria is seeing a new way of doing payments, and stable coins is allowing businesses to accept payments from abroad in an easy way. But who is the biggest winner here? Binance is the biggest winner, because the Central Bank of Nigeria has banned commercial platforms from promoting and using cryptocurrencies. So Binance went to leverage its peer-to-peer marketplace in promoting the sale and the buy of USDT in the country. $60 billion is a lot of money. And if you imagine buying USDT a few months back, it was 700 naira per dollar. Today it's 1,220 naira per dollar. So that's a $520 naira spread. And if you apply this for a $100,000 transaction, this is a really big amount of money. We have seen how the naira and the dollar rate has been terrible due to the economic policies that were implemented by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Yet the adoption of crypto and specifically stable coins is picking up. And we're going to see as well in this session more insights on the cryptocurrency report that came out from Chain Analysis. Next to our news from the Bitcoin ETF and the overall macroeconomic situation that we have pointed out in the beginning of our session, BitMEX co-founder is also sharing the same sentiment. He is not pointing to the fact that the Bitcoin ETF is imminent and this will bring the next rally in Bitcoin. I share a similar view to BitMEX co-founder Arthur Hayes, where he states that the fear of global wartime will push more government spending and hence more inflation. So the demand for government bonds by investors is going down today, and we will look, and investors will look for other alternatives of investment, whether it's Bitcoin or whether it is gold, new asset classes where the investors can move their investment from government bonds, as the governments will have to increase expenditure, especially in the United States, where there is $100 billion bill on the table to support Ukraine and to support now the war in Israel. So with those two macroeconomic factors playing in the scene of global economic factors, the war in Israel, we saw how it affected the local currency, the shekel. It is an all-time low today. Huge economic hurdles are facing Israel, and at the same time, we're seeing it in Ukraine. But in the case of those two countries, the biggest, I don't want to say loser here, but the biggest entity who's gonna pay the price for this is the US citizen, because from his tax money, Mr. Joe Biden is going to fund this $100 billion aid packages to both countries. So with this, we enter into our, I think, most important topic that will continue to spur discussions around the crypto space, the Bitcoin ETF. And why does the Bitcoin ETF matter? Because the Bitcoin ETF, according to galaxy.com, is a suitable and ideal solution more than any investment vehicle when it comes to investing in Bitcoin. So those products, they have better efficiency because the fees, the liquidity, and the price tracking is much better. It is convenient. So as an investor, me stepping in a spot ETF would allow me to obtain Bitcoin exposure through a wider range of channels and platforms, including the established set of providers that we are familiar with. So this is an easier way to on-ramp and off-ramp for both retail and institutional investors. Compared to self-custody and direct ownership, this does not require a level of education to onboard into crypto. So your broker is offering you a way to get exposure onto the Bitcoin price without owning Bitcoin itself. We're increasing the accessibility for Bitcoin specifically, and we are increasing the acceptance. And this is very important because regulatory acceptance in the Bitcoin ETF will open the doors of investors with deep pockets to enter and invest in this space. If we want to have a look at today's baseline, we have around 800,000 Bitcoins that are locked across different funds for investments, for applications such as a spot ETF. Because remember, the spot ETF would require the ETF owner to hold that amount of Bitcoin. By regulatory standards, you cannot hold one Bitcoin and issue 100 ETF units for every one. For example, one Bitcoin, you were issuing one ETF unit, just as an example. So what I'm trying to say is you cannot issue more units, more than what you have in your hand. It should be always redeemable at a one-to-one. Will it happen or not? This is a different story, but the purpose of the ETF is to have a one-to-one coverage. So 841,000 Bitcoins today are locked for that purpose. We are looking at a $21 billion value across those funds in dollar value. But most importantly, as we said in the beginning of the session, what does this mean, or what does it have an impact on the price? So if we want to look at the numbers, we will realize that in the first year, if the ETF gets approved, we are looking approximately around $3 trillion market cap. But if we go to the year after it, we are looking at an $11 trillion market cap. And if we look at the year after it, we're looking at $13 trillion market cap. So the inflows of those ETFs will have a tremendous impact on the price of Bitcoin, where we might see a 70% extended price on the Bitcoin, making it a $200,000 Bitcoin a feasible number. Will this happen? Are the adoption trends showing us this today? Not really. The adoption trends in the 2023 cryptocurrency report came out, and they are showing the following. The biggest adoption trend happening today is in India and not in the United States. That's number one. Number two, Ukraine is in the top 5 list of countries where there was a big adoption trend for cryptocurrencies. Morocco came in the number 20, in the top 20 countries. If we look at the top 30 countries, we're looking at Iran and Turkey in the top 30 countries. That includes MENA region with a high adoption for cryptocurrencies. Most importantly, yes, there was a global downtrend for adoption of crypto, yet countries with high inflation like Venezuela, like Argentina, and like Turkey has maintained their levels into inflows and outflows of cryptocurrencies. So in general, the overall adoption trend in 2023, according to Chainalysis, North America takes the lead. Other parts of the world has seen a downtrend, except where regions with high inflation. With this, Rudy, I want to end the week 43 most important news and the recaps that happened for this week, and we go back to you.
Thank you, Tay. Indeed, I think that was an interesting part of what's happening in the world. And to know that this week's pump, and I won't say dumps, but at least pumps, now it's more understood of how and what it is. So it's crucial that our viewers are more aware, and then always on the forefront to understand what's coming next, because now we are on the middle of the market variation, where we have the halving that's happening within the next 6 months. So the historical events that happened with the halving. It's time to buy? Is it not the time to buy? If we look at the history says buy. But if we look at how the markets and your risk appetite, we have to talk about risk. It's up to you to decide where you want to go. But what we know, the variations have been there, the history is there, and hopefully we'll see a lot of great movements as we step forward. So there's a lot of adoption. It's growing. I don't have it now, but I'll put it next week. I have a nice slide from KuCoin talking about the last year, people's adoption of their exchange. So they saw that people are more involved versus the previous years. So I'll bring that slide, and then maybe next week we'll talk about it. So I just want to remind everybody about the world of fake and the world of impersonation. I will share with you some of the talks again about my impersonation, because this week has become very crucial. And noting I am verified by Instagram. Let me save it. This is a normal discussion using my info and using my text. So this is the full discussion that happened with one of the people that I know. Look at this. They are speaking to them normally, but guess what? They are not me. So you can see the discussion back and forth using my data, using my voice, using my information. And I'm really very sad about this. So going back to the slides, here they are. That's the full discussions that I didn't have, but again, it's really, really sad. So keep on helping us reporting, and if there's any account, whether they, myself, or anyone you know, make sure to please join on this fight that we are trying to fight. So with that, I'll try to end it here. I don't know if you have anything else to add, Tay, before we finish this episode.
I want to thank everyone for joining us today. We'll see you next week. Next week is a very crucial week as well, because we're gonna see the end of month closing for the Bitcoin prices. This will give us a important indicator whether the current uptrend we're seeing in the price will be sustained for the months to come. Rumors are, again, those are rumors, nothing is verified. Bitcoin ETF applications will commence to be approved in January 10, 2024. We have the Bitcoin halving next year, but the major catalyst for the next adoption, I would believe, is the Bitcoin ETF. It is clear twice in the past 2 weeks how this news has triggered a price action, whether it's an up or down. This news is worth to trigger a price action. Important for traders to follow up on this, to make wise decisions on it. With this, I would wish you a lovely week, and I see you next week.
I just want to thank
Dominic,
Bob, Dominic, and Jembi for being with us on this. And please do like and share with us so that we can spread the information as much as we can. Thank you, guys, and see you next week. Bye, Tay.